Yeah, I'm just thrilled for our team. I'm thrilled that the new standard is being fulfilled, and part of that, again, means that we expect to win football games. We expect to play in the postseason. It's not something to marvel about or wonder about. It's something that is real, and it does happen. And that this team is doing that and has done it now back-to-back, I think, is a significant accomplishment, and is worth pausing to consider what that means for Virginia football. I think there's roots being established. I think there's momentum being generated. And I think the expectation is shifting now to winning football at Virginia. And I'm really excited for my team, my coaches, and thrilled for a moment to just enjoy that. I think at the core of the game, our ability to play good run defense was the starting point for this, meaning that I was really impressed with jersey number 24 for North Carolina as I watched film, and our ability to start there then allowed us to branch out and then make appropriate calls at the right time to then have some effect on their tempo. I was pleased with the point production offensively. I was thrilled with the time of possession because they are volatile on offense, meaning explosive. In my opinion, we wanted to hold the ball as much as possible and then generate points, and that's exactly what happened. Field position was huge through turnovers and special teams, and so again, complementary football expanding from last week, carrying into this week, is becoming more consistent, which is allowing us to keep winning football games. We don't win consistently unless Alameda plays well and Bryce play well, and they did again. Bryce Hall continues to be very effective down the field. Lester Coleman, with his punting game, flipped the field a number of times. Our kickoff coverage, I don't think there was a return that made it past the 20. And so it's hard to find now things that were the reasons we didn't play well. There's things stacking up that are, this was good, that was good, this was solid, and that's becoming more of who our team is. So a significant victory. Another ACC game in our division and another win. And that is, it's priceless in terms of the amount of work that we've put in and to just see our coaches and players happy. Quick week now, before I take questions, the coaches will just change and go right over to McHugh, and we play on Friday night. So again, today's Monday in essence, and so we're right back at it. And I really would like our players to enjoy this, and as well as our fans. And I'm grateful that I have a chance to coach at Virginia.
Let's go with Jeff and Mike and John.
Not only was it a big day for the team, but Alameda reached a milestone, became the all-time leader in career reception. You've been with him for 2+ years now. What's it been like to coach him and see him develop?
You know, the growth and development I've seen with Alameda, the capability has always been there, but his drive for excellence keeps getting at a higher, accelerating to a higher level. He's hungrier to be better. He also knows, and we've talked really bluntly, that if he doesn't play well, we don't have a great chance to win. And so he's able to shoulder that and then put it at a place where he can still focus on his game and production and help our team without it now being that he's the reason. You know, it's how can he contribute. And so he's hungrier for the team's success than I think he is his own, and that comes with maturity, and that's what's happened with him.
Coach, when you look at Bryce and what he's done for your offense, one, is this what you envisioned, maybe the high side of what you envisioned when you got him? And two, has his transfer here expedited kind of the progress of this program?
It certainly has. And again, I mentioned a number of times, and it's kind of relevant. It's relevant now in looking back, but it was our intent when we arrived to head this way with a dynamic type of quarterback. And so when you consider now the significant change from style of play in 8 games, right, it's not now our 3rd year together, it's 8 games with Bryce. And the previous 2 years were a completely different style. So Bryce's ability to not only take on content, but then perform, and then allow us to expand each week with just this poise and just kind of solid week in and week out and day out mentality. It's just so nice not to have the wild ups and wild downs, and he keeps getting better. And so certainly I would say he's exceeding expectations, and just a joy to have on our team.
Yeah, I forgot who got some of the who split the rock on earlier occasions, and
Me too.
huh?
Me too.
Who got it today? And you've had situations where players been left out on the field, and that
Yeah. So today I acknowledged Alameda in becoming the all-time reception leader, but then I said none of that happens without Bryce. And so it was kind of a cumulative effect that Bryce has to, and I couldn't remember if he'd done it yet or not. And so I didn't think he had, so it was like, okay, it's got to be Bryce. There is no more rationale to it than that.
Bronco, coming out of the locker room, what was the significance, you think, of that forcing the 3 and out and then scoring right on the next play to kind of shift momentum again?
It was huge because, again, our opinion is we were concerned about the tempo and momentum and playmaking ability of North Carolina, and we just needed to widen the gap. And to be able, so we talked about that, but to be able to then address it right off the bat, I think generated more confidence with everybody that what was said was then carried out. And football programs start advancing when what's being taught and what's being adjusted to in real time is then executed, and rather than the next week. And so that's what started to happen. And so our coaches are doing a nice job with adjustments, but the harder part is the players then taking the adjustments and then applying them in real time. And in that case, that's what happened.
I believe there in the third quarter you passed on what would have been a 40-yard field goal. Was that a result of how well your defense was playing?
Is that the one where we went for it and didn't get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I regretted that. Jeez. Inside was saying kick it, and it's just not a good decision. So it didn't go. There was no more that went into it other than I knew we should kick it, and then for whatever reason we went for it, and I learned.
And even with no Malcolm Cook out there, what did you see out of your young linebackers, specifically Zandier and Snyder?
That Rob Snyder is really developing into a good football player, and who would have known, going into the season that Rob Snyder now emerges as where you put him in and we hardly even notice that other linebackers are gone, and it's great. In fact, he was the last player I just went and shook hands with before I came in here, and I'm proud of him.
Bronco, I think Bryce had half of his rushing yards on the first drive. How much does that set a tone and kind of set up everything else you guys want to do?
It does just that, because you can't play normal defense with Bryce. And so once then the defense has to adjust, then the burden shifts back to our offense to acknowledge what they have done, and that then clearly there's other openings. And usually it means Alameda. Because things start closing this way for Bryce, which that's at their own peril as long as Alameda is having and doing his thing. And so, and the more of that type, and you saw us really work hard to try to get TK or Tavares Kelly the ball more today. And so the more that we can just kind of keep expanding and keeping defenses this way, the more lanes for Bryce. But if they start coming in, then we have to make them pay outside. And Evan Butts had a really nice catch. Alameda had a nice catch. Hassis had a few critical plays, and that was because of the first drive with Bryce.
If you'll indulge another Bryce Perkins question, he seems to have this, even if the pocket is collapsing around him, he seems to have this calm about him. He doesn't have happy feet or anything. Did he come to you with that, or is that something that you all have worked with him on?
No, I think he came to us, and if any of us were that fast, we'd probably be like that too. I mean, who's going to catch you? That's not realistic, but no, I think he knows his ability, and he knows how close they can get, and they can get pretty close and still not catch him. And so I think that's just over, maybe since he's played football, that's just been developed. So we haven't worked hard on that. He came that way.
Coach, by my count, I think 4 deflected passes from either defensive linemen or rushing linebackers. Is that schematic based on what North Carolina was doing, or is that something you guys have been working on in those situations?
No, specifically for this week, we've been working on it all year, but the emphasis this week is there was a high percentage of their pass game that was at or behind the line of scrimmage or short. And with that type of pass game, the best way to defend it is knocking the ball down and stopping it ever before it gets out there. And so we did emphasize it, and it was gratifying to see us make some impact on it through knocking balls down.
When you beat Georgia Tech last year to become bowl eligible, it was pandemonium on the field.
I remember.
A much different scene this year. What do you think that says about the mentality of this team going forward this year?
Well, they set the standard, from tracing it back to Chris Peace, and the new standard, that is, they expect to win, they expect to be in postseason, and they think that's normal now. And they decided that after a year ago, and my job is just to help them along the way. And I think the fans, the players, I think we all collectively are acting different because the program has moved to a different place than it was 1 year ago. And I'm certainly willing and hopeful to remain and be able to keep it going in that same direction.
Apologizing for the downer question, but Tim Harris, what happened to Tim? And then on the flip side, what do you think of Darius playing?
Yeah, Darius played great. That has been a head-to-head matchup, and we have equal confidence in both. And to be honest, I didn't ask, and I don't know what happened to Tim. It was just next guy in, and then I didn't even think after the game to ask Kelly what happened. Normally she comes to me, and maybe she did, and I don't remember it, but I don't know what happened.
Didn't dress. Is
Nope.
there a setback there?
Yep, a setback based on playing the week before. That made him more sore this week, and it might be an every other week thing. We're still trying to figure it out. So we're hopeful to have him back, but we don't know yet.
One last question. I'm sorry, Brad.
And I guess while I'm talking about that, Jordan Mack practiced all week and is very close. So we were planning on, and so what a great time to have him back and re-emerging. So he will continue to gain momentum and be more and more healthy as we go down the stretch here.
Coach, you mentioned the stacking, right? This piece. What has connected those pieces to you, and where is the bar in terms of your expectations for where this team can go now?
Yeah, I don't believe in setting limits. I think most of us accept limits from outsiders or others that I don't think any of us ever know, like what a human being or a person is truly capable of. So I ask for everything, and that's what our players want. So yeah, I'm not one of those coaches that is easily satisfied, and the players joke about that all the time. But in a way, they like it because they know that means that I think they're capable of more, which is a compliment in a unique way. So why take anything off the table? For this season, why take anything off the table?
A lot of talk during the week as to Jordan Ellis's availability. You get 16 carries for 64 yards out of him. It sounds like you were pretty confident early in the week that he would be able to play.
You know, I really didn't know, just matter-of-factly, until today. I saw him practice on Thursday, but he was not 100%. He's tough. That's what I mean, I knew he was tough, but I didn't expect him to play as much as he did. And so I was really impressed, not only with him, Hassis was beat up as well, and both those guys, they were impressive today because they were hurting pretty good.